A king once ruled over vast lands with armies, riches, and golden sands. Yet one day a sage arrived with grace, calmness, and silence adorned his face. The king welcomed him with pride. "Tell me, O sage, what truth do you hide?" The sage smiled with twinkling eyes. "Let's play a game where true wisdom lies." A chessboard was placed between the two, black and white, the eternal view. "What's the wager?" the king then asked. "If I win, shall you be unmasked?" The sage said, "I seek nothing more than grains of rice and nothing in store. One grain on the first square will suffice, then double it on each. It's just rice." The king laughed loud in roaring cheer. "Is that all you want, O seer?" "Let us play," the king declared, and on the board the battle flared. One move, then two, the sage stayed still. His silence worked against the king's will. The king was clever, bold, and fast, yet each move brought shadows from the past. The sage moved slow but wise and deep. Each step made the king lose sleep. Pawns fell, knights crashed, rooks turned to dust. The king's empire shook with loss of trust. Why does this feel like more than play? The king wondered at break of day. The board was small, but the stakes grew, as his pride was pierced right through. At last, the king was cornered tight. The sage whispered, "There ends your fight." Checkmate came with humble grace, a smile still shining on the sage's face. "Now the rice," the sage did say, "one grain here, then double each day." The king waved off with royal glee, "Let my men bring what you plea." But square by square, the numbers grew. First one, then two, then four. Who knew? By the 10th square, the pile looked tall. By the 20th, it filled the hall. Soon the palace ran out of space. Rice poured down at frightening pace. The king turned pale, sweat on his brow. "What have I promised? What do I owe now?" Square 30 brought grains in tons. Square 40, rivers couldn't outrun. Square 50, entire kingdoms failed. The king stood broken, his ego derailed. "You tricked me," he shouted in vain. "You drowned my throne in rice and pain." The sage stood still, no anger, no pride, just deep silence at his side. "No trick," he said, "only your mind. The prideful illusion you failed to unwind. A game is a mirror, if you truly see. It reveals what hides internally. You ruled men, but not your thought. In this game, you've been self-taught. Numbers grow, ego blinds. One small promise can shake great minds." "Why rice?" asked the humbled king. "Why not gold or anything?" "Because," said the sage with grace, "even simple things can break your pace. This board is life, the squares are years. Each move brings joy or tears. You thought you were playing me, but truly you played against your destiny." The king bowed down, heart now awake, realizing his mighty costly mistake. Not every battle is won by sword, but by wisdom, truth, and a quiet word. "How can I repay?" the king now asked. "I have no more to offer or task." "Serve your people," the sage replied, "with no ego, no greed, no pride." From that day the kingdom changed. Simplicity was no longer strange. Chess was played with honor and grace, and wisdom ruled the mighty place. What seems like just a board of black and white can show the dark and bring the light. The pawns are lessons, the knights are choice. The queen is thought, the king your voice. The sage was gone by morning dew, leaving behind a world brand new. The king lived on, now wise and kind, with peace and stillness in his mind. And so, dear seeker, hear this theme. Life's game is deeper than it may seem. One move, one choice can shift your fate. Don't let your ego dominate. Many play but few reflect. They rush to win and then regret. True victory lies in knowing thyself, not in crowns or worldly wealth. The sage was Sadhguru, wise and still, with a laughter calm and unshaken will. Teaching kings, seekers, young and old, that truth is silent and never sold. What traps a king, you may now ask? Not armies, wars, or any task, but the illusion of control and fame that makes the mighty forget life's game. Your breath is the board, your body a pawn, You live your game from dusk to dawn. Play well, play true, but know the goal. To master the self, not just the role. In every square a story lives, in every move the cosmos gives. The wise don't rush, nor do they flee. They see the game as eternity, trapped not by chains but by thought. The king learned what can't be bought. The sage walked off, no pride or fame. For him, life is just a cosmic game. So next time you play or make a move, remember this tale, let your ego lose. Be still like the sage, see clear, not loud. A quiet mind stands tall and proud. Kings may rise and kings may fall, but truth alone will outlast all. Chess is not just black and white. The board was gone, the lesson stayed, the game was over, but truth replayed. The king now saw what eyes could miss, that wisdom hides in moments like this. No battle, no blood, no cries for land, just grains of rice in a sage's hand. A lesson wrapped in clever play that stole the king's ego away. "Why did I fall for such a test?" the king asked, holding his chest. "Because," said the sage, "you never knew the weight of things that start small and true. Your mind was grand, but blind with pride. It never asked what sits inside. You saw the board but not the game, and chased the prize, not the flame. This rice," he said, "is not just food, it's karma growing in quietude. One act repeated will expand until it overwhelms your hand. Be mindful of the seeds you sow, for one day they'll begin to grow. And if you're unaware and blind, your own deeds will trap your mind." The king stood still. His breath was deep. "This lesson I shall always keep. I ruled the world, yet lost to you, not in strength, but point of view." The sage chuckled. "There's more to learn. Life is not just to rule or earn. It's to see through the false and grand, and touch the truth with empty hand. Even kings must one day fall, but the wise rise above it all. When ego fades and silence starts, that's when life truly imparts." The palace, once filled with gold and noise, now echoed peace and simpler joys. The king now walked with softer tread and listened more than what was said. "I once thought power came from throne," he whispered in chambers all alone. "But true power is still and wise, unshaken by storms or worldly ties." He gathered his court, his men, his kin. "We've built a palace, but not within. From this day forth, let our path be, not just of rule, but of clarity." He told the tale from end to start, of the game that pierced his heart. "Let each of you take heed today. Don't let ego guide your way, for even the smallest promise made can bring a kingdom to its grave. Measure not by coin or land, but by stillness you understand." The courtiers listened, tears in eyes. A new wind moved across the skies. The people saw their ruler shift and felt their lives begin to lift. No longer was he just their king, he was a guide for everything. A man who lost but deeply found a higher wisdom, truly profound. The sage had vanished, no one knew if he was real or just a view. But the lesson lived in every breath, a truth that danced beyond death. Life is chess, the king would say, but it's not about just winning the play. It's about knowing who you are, beyond the ego, near or far. A pawn may rise, a king may fall, but the wise see beauty in it all. This game is not black versus white, but about awakening inner sight. The rice became a sacred thing, symbol of what pride can bring. It filled not stores, but minds and schools, where sages taught forgotten rules. The children grew with tales of old, not just of war, but wisdom bold. They learned that silence held great might, and the darkest board could bring the light. The queen once asked, "Why did you change? You used to crave all wealth and range." The king replied with tender tone, "I met a sage who showed me home. He played with me but taught me more than all the conquests I fought for. He beat me not with hand or sword, but with the silence of a word. He made me see how time can trick, how a grain can build a mountain quick, How greed can drown a noble heart, and wisdom breaks it all apart. He was not just man or ghost, he was truth that speaks the most. He asked for rice, but gave a key to unlock the self inside of me. Now every year on that same date, the palace doors opened wide and great. People came to play the game, but left with hearts no longer the same. The king would smile and tell them slow, "Let me show you what you must know." They'd sit and play upon the floor, but leave with minds that wanted more. "It's not about the game you win," he'd say with joy and peace within. "It's about the game that plays your mind, the patterns you fail to leave behind." A simple board, a few small grains, had broken pride and released chains. That which seemed too small to see had unlocked a king's destiny. So let this be your sacred note. The mind can sink a mighty boat, but one wise breath, one silent guide, can turn the ocean to a tide. The sage may come in form unknown, a stranger's face, a seed you've sown. Don't ignore the humble cue, for truth wears robes both old and new. In every act, in every choice, listen not to fear, but inner voice. The king who listens is never weak. He is the strength the sages seek. Sadhguru says, play life with care. Be present in every square. The world is a game, but not to cheat. It's to grow, to fall, and to repeat. But not endlessly, not in pain,